Good morning, Renee. Why don't you tell me your name and your company and speak a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So Renee Douthat, Hatch Compliance.
Okay.
I've been in the healthcare space for about 17 years. Started with physical therapy, home health, kind of grew from that, learned a lot about compliance, and ended up joining a company in 2013 substance use disorder facility. There was a 20-bed detox, and then we grew in 5 years to 500 beds, facilities across 7 states, and that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how did that segue into where you are today?
So at some point when we had 3 facilities in Florida, 2 in Texas, 3 in California, and so I realized how inefficient our compliance program is. So
They always are. I mean, that's the nature of the beast. Like they're always a day late and $1 short, and
right.
the paperwork's always out of date or whatever.
Right. And healthcare in general is not really savvy to technology.
No.
And behavioral health is like the black sheep of healthcare. So we get no attention. I mean, our EMRs are probably about 7 years old, the ones that are dedicated to behavioral healthcare.
Yep.
And they're still, not perfect.
Right.
I mean, I don't think any EMR is perfect, but that's another conversation. At first, I'm savvy. I grew up in a hotel. My mom was a hotel owner, so I learned a lot about business as a kid. At some point, I'm like, okay, I can organize this. I can tackle this. I'm very efficient at, So it started with Excel spreadsheets, but what happened with Excel spreadsheets is that there was no oversight, there's no automation, and I couldn't. People were like, oh, I haven't done the monthly required fire inspection for the last 6 months, so
Let's go in and make it up.
Yeah, which. Okay, sometimes you'll miss a month. Okay, go back and do it. But at some point, 6 months into that, if there's a fire, people are going to get hurt.
That's right.
So
There's accountability factor.
Correct. And then and another factor is people don't really take compliance seriously. So it's a leadership down standpoint. And a lot of the business people who go into this space, they don't hire business-minded people. They're hired people with experience in behavioral healthcare, which are therapists, who are also not known for
Healthcare, not the business side.
Correct.
They know that really, really well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So after the Excel spreadsheets, Google Forms was kind of getting popular and coming out and doing some really cool stuff. So then we moved to Google Forms. So then we had more oversight, and then again, no automation.
Mm.
So at some point in 2018, I wanted to change. I'd been there for about 5 years, and I did some consulting work. I opened up a facility in Dallas. I remember driving, and I pulled into a Whataburger, and I just finished this inspection, and I was shot. And I had been there for about 3 months. My kids go away in the summer, so and I like 30-hour days kind of thing. And I called a friend of mine who was a developer, and I said, I have this idea. Can we do this? And then we did it. So we've been in beta for the last 8 months. Have quite a few clients. The technology isn't where we want it to be right now. So we're on our second build out. I just basically sold all my stocks and pulled out some of my life insurance. So I'm in a scary place right now. But I have people who believe in me, like Aaron, and people who really see the value, like treatment centers who are doing the right thing. And
are you cash flow positive today?
Not after I just paid for this new phone.
No, but I'm just saying, I mean, you're looking over the edge, and you're kind of like, you know what, I think this is going to happen.
Yeah.
We just need a little bit, one last heat problem.
Yeah. Well, I think part of the problem is that the current technology isn't what I want it to be.
I understand.
It's just not doing the reporting. I want some Pareto charts. I want people to be able to really not have to think about what's the root cause analysis. I have specific questions in there that show them what the root cause analysis is. They don't have to figure out this is a staff issue. No, if you answer this way and this way, this is an environment of care.
It's obvious where it goes.
Right. So, and we're expecting people who don't have, again, a lot of education and are...
Right, that's not their job to understand.
Exactly.
It needs to be dummy-proof is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Not to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
And
no, you're 100%...
No ambiguity whatsoever.
Correct. Yeah. So, as I work with these beta people, these beta clients, I'm learning a lot. Like, I'm in there with, the low-level employees going, how can I help you? What works for you? You want me to do this, turn this into check marks, have this drop down? Absolutely. Like, you tell me what you need, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
And that's been really cool. Like, kind of missed being in the space too. It's very chaotic and funny, and I'm always looking for ways like, wait, you need a process for this. How do I make this a procedure, or that you can go here and you go, did the client come in with prescription medication from another doctor? Yes. Has it been approved by our medical director? No. You need to wait for the medical director. It sends the medical director an email. Can you approve these medications? Done.
What's your staff? Is it just you?
Myself, I have a implementation specialist. Aaron is our strategy officer, and I have a CFO.
Okay.
Yeah, and a handful of the butlers.
You just outlined, I know there's probably people that are going to be watching this who are going to say, this woman's crazy. She just took money out of her savings and her what? Her life insurance?
Yeah.
I will tell you something. That's either a recipe for failure or a recipe for success. It's a zero-sum game, Renee.
I still got the house.
You still double down on more.
I got the house. It's like you're paying, was it robbing Paul to pay?
Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, I've been doing that for the last 12 months.
But my point is that this is what drew me into wanting to do this.
Yeah.
I walked in here this morning and I had a smile on my face, turned the lights on, and this is the happiest I've been in decades.
Yeah.
Doing this. And here's why. You and the young person that I interviewed before you both are exactly what I was looking for when I started down this road. And I want to explain to you why that is that the person that I interviewed before you said, you know what, he goes, I got to be successful because I don't have a college degree. There's no plan B.
Right.
And when you say things like, you doubled down,
yeah,
you pulled some cash out and you're making an investment in yourself. And, I'm your biggest freaking fan.
Thank you. Wow. And the people that believe in me, I'm investing in them, because they're putting a lot, my children who, hey guys, I'm ordering pizza. I'm sorry, I'll tuck you in. And then I had work to do. Yeah, they're so understanding. It's so great.
A few years ago, I saw a headline that said, by 2030, 45 to 50% of Americans would be self-employed. And I remember reading that and that just rattled me hard because I know what that means to be self-employed.
Yeah.
You give up so much.
For sure.
You don't get the liberty of being able to do the things that you want to. You only get to do the things that you need to.
Yeah.
You don't get to go out to the really cool dinner. You don't get to run down to the Keys for a staycation on a Friday, Saturday night because it's just not in the books. What you're doing is that you are deferring immediate gratification for a long-term goal.
Correct.
And that is badass.
Yeah.
That is a mindset that very few people have. And going back to this 45, 50% and the roll forward, a couple of weeks ago, there was a press release, I believe it was Oxford University, did a study that basically came out and said, yeah, it's true. 50% of the jobs are somewhere in that vicinity. You're going to be gone in the next 10 or 15 years. So what I saw from that is this, you can look at that in a doomsday mindset or you can look at that in a positive mindset. And the positive mindset for me is, and this is where you come into play and the other people that I've interviewed here come into play, is that you don't have any other choice.
Right.
I'm sorry. It's got to work.
It's got to work. Well, it's funny, I could easily, and it's tempting to take a position as a compliance officer.
But how do you know how long that job's going to be there?
Exactly. And
with the impossibility of a hospital or any sort of healthcare system trying to budget anything in this modern day insurance nightmare world, you don't know.
Right.
You can be a hospital administrator and board meets and says, we're cutting a third the budget. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I guess that's not what scares me, though. What scares me is if I don't do this and I don't try, what later on in life,
will you regret it?
I know I'm going to regret it. When I was younger, I had this idea, this was like the dawn of the internet, here. And I was going to call it the communal closet. And it was going to be like, this was still when they were sending me the Netflix DVDs. I was like, why don't we do that with clothing? Like, and people can, instead of us, because I was, I knew the fashion industry was terrible for the environment. I have a whole bunch of clothes in my closet that are gorgeous that I'll never wear again. Why don't we trade with barter system? But I never did anything with that. I have a little notebook. I still have it of how I was going to organize the clothing when it came in. And
you're a career entrepreneur.
I did. I had my first company when I was like 20. It was Jubilee Interactive Productions.
Let's see, it also comes from your mother.
My mother, yeah.
She served as a role model.
She did. She did. She's about it.
Beds have you made in your life?
How many what?
How many beds have you made in your life?
I didn't make any bets.
You didn't? I thought maybe she had you out clean the rooms and shucking out.
No, I was more like front desk, managing, the staff. Yeah, I remember making martinis.
My mom and dad had cabins. I grew up on a farming operation in central Nebraska. My mom and dad had cabins, and all year long they were big business. But in the fall during hunting season, it was really big business. And I was the dude on the phone. I was 6, 8 years old, and some poor guy called from Connecticut, and they're the most amazing cabins you've ever seen.
Yes,
you need to be here. But no, you're a career entrepreneur.
Yeah. My dad calls me a sheepdog.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm always rounding people up.
Yeah, you're the instigator. Well, I mean, I want to have you come back and do follow-ups on this. I mean, you're striving for the cash flow positive stage. I mean, you're going to be a 100% sole proprietor, owner of this organization, and you're trying to build it and bootstrap it up. And I think it's just amazing. I think you've got a killer story, and the door's open to you anytime you want to come back.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You don't get a lot of good feedback when you're in the trenches of building a business. It's just all negative. It's all negative feedback. You've got some people going, this is a crazy idea. What are you doing? You had a good job.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? You have 2 children.
Yeah. Do you not care about them?
Yeah, exactly. You start to
guilt.
Oh my God, it's the worst. I literally will wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning going, my kids are like a month and a half overdue for their dental exams. I'm a terrible person. But this is that 3 a.m. kind of rumination. Like it's a soul killing thing, and it's hard to get,
They'll be fine.
Yeah.
They'll be fine. No, you're doing it the right way. And, in closing here, I want to say that, you mentioned, living with yourself, looking back in life and wondering if, the wouldas, the couldas, and the shouldas. I can tell you without a doubt, what haunts most people in life is to look back at their life and wonder the what ifs, the
right.
wouldas, the couldas, and the shouldas.
Yeah.
And so, punch through that, and that don't play that.
I always have, despite what I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't let the little voices screw you.
Yeah.
I mean, those little voices at 2 o'clock in the morning can be the worst thing. I mean, that's what I've been working on the past year. I've been basically retooling my self-concept, and that's what I've been really working on is to delete the little voices. When you have those little voices, you say to yourself, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Where did I hear that?
Yeah.
Where did that start from? And drill right into it. And I will also tell you, Renee, anytime you want want someone to put you back in a good mindset, pick up the phone, call me.
Will do. Thank you.
Because I've been there.
Yeah.
I was laying in bed last night laughing and almost crying at the same time. I was thinking back when I was trading the Kansas City Board of Trade. I also had a flour milling business. I distributed flour to Mexican tortillerias. And I remember one day I was expecting a big shipment to come in. I had to distribute out to several customers, and the truck driver called me. He says, I can't show up. And I remember going to the Quick Trip and getting a 6-pack of beer and going back to my warehouse and sitting down on a pallet of flour and just crying. And I was an adult, and I was crying like a baby. But you get back up.
You should have flagged down the truck on the side of the road.
I would the plan be, and I got it all taken care of. But the reality of it is that it would have been nice to have somebody to talk to. So if when you have those abrupt stops in your life, pick up the phone, text me.
Will do.
All right, Renee, thank you.
Thanks, Harry.
Keep it.
Nice to meet you.